Hey everybody, it's me, Stu Helm, the food fan here at Food Fan HQ, which is located in Asheville, North Carolina, by the way, a beautiful part of the country that I love very much. And I just got back. I was away for a few days. I'm sure nobody noticed except for maybe all of the restaurants that I'm going to every day. We're like, Stu hasn't been here in 3 days. That's strange. But yeah, I went to Detroit, Michigan, a place that I love very much. Shout out to the city of Detroit, the state of Michigan. My life partner, Dawn, she doesn't like it when I call her my girlfriend. My life partner, Dawn, uh, her family is from Michigan. They are actually from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is whenever people in Michigan describe the Upper Peninsula, they always make a mitten shape with one hand, and then they make a piece over it that represents the Upper Peninsula. So we all know Michigan's shaped like a mitten because it's cold. That's why they shaped it that way. And then the Upper Peninsula, I guess, is like a little bit of slush on top of the mitten. I love the Upper Peninsula. Don't get me wrong. It is awesome. It is beautiful. And I love to visit Dawn's family up there. But this time we were mostly in Detroit. We were there. Well, first of all, let me back up. I just want to say it's great to be back in Asheville. I miss this city even when I go away for just a little bit. And I want to give a shout out, another one, to Asheville Airport. We have a great little airport. It's so easy to deal with. I'd actually had not seen it so crowded before. Usually, I guess maybe I'm flying at weird times of the week or whatever, but it was pretty crowded. But it's such a small but charming little airport, and they do have good food at the airport. I did not eat there when I was there, either on my flight out of Asheville nor on my flight back. But next time, perhaps I will. I usually am a little nervous flying. I don't really like to fly, so I don't usually have a big appetite right before I get on an airplane. But anyways, let me talk to you about Detroit, because the second that we touched down in the city of Detroit, Dawn picked me up. She was already there. So Dawn is not only from up there, but she is currently doing an artist's residency up there. It's a really cool thing where she's staying in this artist's house. He has since passed away, but he left his house to the city of, I forget what the little city is that is actually in. Maybe I'll think of it by the end of the show. Sorry about that little city. It's kind of right next to Detroit and not too far from Ann Arbor, another great small city that I love very much. I hate to travel, but I like to be places. If I could just blink my eyes and be there, that would be awesome. It's the getting there that I really hate, but I'm trying to get over that with the help of pharmaceuticals. Yeah, I took it like a half a Xanax before I got on the plane, which was probably smart because there was a point in time where the plane went and did like a big type of, it just dropped, like felt like 20 feet, and everybody was like, "Whoa," and then it proceeded on from there. Must have been an awful big gust of wind or something like that. Anyhow, so I touched down in Detroit. Dawn picks me up at the airport. First stop was a place called Pleasant Trees, two words, Pleasant Trees, and it was a weed shop. Weed is legal in Michigan. Come on, Governor Roy Cooper, wave some sort of magic wand and make weed legal in North Carolina. Holy expletive, it is way past time for that. They are making money hand over fist up there in Michigan with this thing. It's going to save their economy, which is in the trash as far as, well, not the whole economy, but they're not doing, Michigan needs some money infused into its infrastructure. Let me tell you that. For a city that loves Detroit, a city that loves cars so much, the roads need a lot of help up there. And so I'm hoping legal weed gonna improve the whole state. Not that it needs improving. It's perfectly wonderful just the way it is, but a few less potholes, nobody hates that. So first stop, weed shop, bought myself some pre-rolls, got all blazed up right away. And then we went to a place called Wright and Company to eat. And we got there, we met our friends, Julian and Molly, and they had already sat down and had already ordered a couple of things. And so we joined them. But before we got, it's on the second floor. And before we got up there, we enter the building, we get in the elevator, and on the elevator is a young gentleman who is dressed like a cook. And he says, and I say to him, we're going to Wright and Company, and we're super, like we said hi to each other when we got on. And then I said, we're going upstairs to Wright and Company. We're super excited. Do you work there? And of course, he had the branding on his apron and everything. So it was just kind of a question that I already knew the answer to, but he said yes. And so we chatted a little bit more. And then I asked him, well, what's your favorite dish on the menu? And without hesitation, he said, get the chicken. And so boom, when I'm not sure if this young man was the chef or a cook or executive or chopping onions, I don't know. He just looked the part. And when anybody from the kitchen of a nice restaurant just doesn't even hesitate and tells you what they think is the best dish on the menu, get that dish. Doesn't matter if they're the dishwasher or the owner, you get that dish. And so we got that dish. And in addition to that, and I'll tell you more about that, but in addition to that, we got some house-made potato chips that had like a cheddar cheese sauce on them and some bacon and some tomato relish. Very delicious. And we got a salad that was called wild greens, weeds, and flowers. So it was a very pretty and eclectic salad with a lot of flavors and textures and colors going on. And it also included dried figs and puffed rice. And so those were very good additions to that salad. The very, very tasty salad with a nice house-made dressing on it. And then we got something that was one of the superstars of the evening, and that was the potato pav, or pave, or pave, or pavy. I don't know how to pronounce this word. I probably should have Googled it before I started recording this meeting. I'd say that because I record these videos using Zoom, so everything's a Zoom meeting to me. But I probably should have looked that up, but I didn't. Let's just call it potato pav, because I think I've heard people say that before, but maybe not. Anyways, it's a French thing, and it strictly the word pav refers to the shape. Pav just means something cooked like a brick, like a paving stone, I guess. I don't know. It's flat and rectangular and squared off at the edges, like 90-degree angles and stuff. So it's like a paving brick. Maybe that's where the name comes from. I'm just taking a wild guess. I don't know nothing about nothing. But let me tell you, this potato pav, that's the pronunciation I'm going with, was freaking amazing. Like, I wanted to tell our friends to go away so that I could just eat this thing all by myself. I wanted to tell Dawn, take the friends to the bar, order yourselves drinks, leave me alone with the potato pav. It'll all be here when you get back. And then they get back. I'm like, whoa, I don't know. I turn around, potato pav, all gone. That's how much I wanted it. I fantasized about that, and then I shared, because that's what we were doing. And it was fantastic. The first words I'm going to use to describe this potato pav, and keep in mind, it's like a brick shaped thing of like sliced potatoes that has been cooked to death, like just falling, like not mealy and smashed up, crispy on the edges. And so the first two words are garlic cocoa butter. Garlic cocoa butter. That's what's the first thing listed with this potato pav. And then pistachio, something called ahi panka, which I'm not sure what that is. It's some crumbly stuff on top. And it had dry strawberries. And then again, just the last two words of the description, almost as good as the first two, marrow cream. Marrow cream, people. That's what it had. It had garlic, cocoa butter, and marrow cream on this square of potato that was just so good, man. And I want to mention that I am learning what some of these food words mean, and I love it that French people do have a tendency to name food items after the shape it's in. So there's the famous croissant, of course. And then the galette, it refers to the shape of the pan that the galette is cooked in. I don't know. I'm not a linguist or anything. I just find these things mildly interesting. Let me get on to what else we had. We had some hamachi crudo that had some hazelnuts and some burnt honey and then brown butter and melon. So that's an interesting combination of stuff, and it was quite unique and quite delicious. We also got some grilled bay scallops that included wild ramps as well as pickled ramps. Like the wild ramps came in the form of a sauce or something, I can't remember, but pickled ramps, and then salmon roe cream. So more cream. You'll notice the word cream pops up a couple more times, at least one more time on this list of foods. So they know they're not skimping on the calories at the old Wright and Company, and they're not skimping on the deliciousness either. Calories are my friend. They are. I'm sorry. So yeah, the bay scallops, not my favorite dish. Others loved it. Let's move on. Here's the chicken. It was called the Green Circle Half Chicken. Green Circle, I'm going to assume is the name of the farm. Something else I probably should have looked up before the show. That is a theme of this show. I should have a section of the show called Things I Should Have Looked Up Before the Show. It's just, I don't know what I'm going to need to know when I talk. I think words come out. I'm not planning them, but I really should have looked. I knew I was going to say these words, didn't I? Green Circle Half Chicken. It's probably the farm. And because the bistro tender, which I'll get to, was called the Cornerstone Farms bistro tender. So I'm just extrapolating. Now the chicken, let's get back to it. Again, the first two words, so delicious sounding, and in this case, so very interesting. Pho scented. Scented, Scented, pho, Pho. We all used to call it pho back in the day, and then I don't know when it was. In 1997, everybody learned that it was pronounced pho. And so the chicken itself was pho scented. I don't even know what the pho that means, but I was sold immediately, the recommendation and then these two words. And then it came with a smear of butternut squash on the bottom, some charred baby bok choy. That was fantastic. Baby bok choy is one of my most favorite vegetables. Please serve it to me anytime you're making me eat vegetables. It also came with lemongrass. And then once again, the last three words of this description, just so interesting and turns out delicious, but they are fish sauce caramel. Fish sauce caramel. Okay, world, just throw weird stuff at me and make it delicious, and I'm gonna love it. And right on for the person that we met in the elevator. This dish was stellar. Again, I didn't want to share with my friends. I wanted them all to disappear for a few minutes, and then I would make the chicken disappear in a few minutes. And none of that happened, of course. We shared it. And this is the kind of thing I'm going to be thinking about for years. This is one of the problems with eating when you travel, especially at restaurants that have ever-changing menus. Like Wright and Company, very Asheville-style restaurant, in my opinion, is going to have a new menu all the time. Not that they would consider themselves Asheville style. They'd probably be horrified to hear that. I'm just saying that we're used to these kinds of restaurants here in Asheville that have a menu and then poop, it changes. And so this is the kind of dish, this pho scented green circle half chicken. It's the kind of dish I'm going to think about for years. And I'm going to be like, oh, like I should have ordered two, should have got one to go. I should have replicated it in the Star Trek replicator, something. I don't know. Like I'll just be thinking about it forever. And I'll end this review with just saying the aforementioned Green Creek Stone Farms Bistro Tender came with creamy semolina. So there's that word again, cream, fermented blackberry, and a duck and leek demi-glace, like a sauce on the bottom. And it was fantastic, like just over the top delicious. Could have eaten the whole dish myself. We crushed all this food. Like there was nothing left of any of this food. And there was only four of us, and it was what, 8 dishes, 7, 8 dishes. And the bistro tender, the pho scented chicken, the green circle chicken, and the potato pav were definitely the highlights of the meal for me. Dawn really loved the crudo and the salad. And of course, the potato chips were a hit with everyone. That's kind of a no brainer. You fry up some taters, you pour some cheese on them, you sprinkle them with bacon, and then tomato jam. Why not? Tomato relish, I think it was. Anywho, so that was our experience at Wright and Company. The table was oddly shaped and kind of weird, but you take what you get. It was a small space, and the whole restaurant was small, and the table was like less than half a circle, like a sliver of a circle, and we all were seated on one side of the circle sliver. It was crowded, but it was bumping and delicious. The food was awesome. The service was exemplary. I want to give a thumbs up to our server, who was great. We didn't get their name, but that don't matter. They're probably all great there, but ours in particular, if they see this video, I'm talking about you. And then for dessert, I will say dessert, as is so often, sadly, the case at these fancy restaurants that blow your mind with their entrees and appetizers, the desserts were passable. They were tasty. They were good. We got the butterscotch pudding and the chocolate hazelnut ganache. There were only 3 options. I forget what the third one was. And I don't mind having limited options for dessert, but I often wish that the desserts were as tasty or as creative and delicious as the entrees. These were good enough. There was a soft serve ice cream shop right across the street that we were planning to hit up after the restaurant, but it had already closed. It was also like 40 degrees out. It was cold up there in Detroit, telling you what. And so that was our dinner at the Wright and Company, right in Detroit, Michigan. If you haven't been to Detroit, you gotta go. It's just a classic American city. Yes, it does have these strange neighborhoods where every third or every fifth house is just trashed, burned, fallen into the ground. And then all the rest of the houses have people in them and are living there. And there's some beautiful houses in those neighborhoods. Some friends of ours bought one and rehabbing it, and the city is practically giving them away. So there's a lot of opportunities in Detroit. I can see that with my eyes, in the city proper and the neighborhoods around it. There's just a ton of opportunity in that city, and an astounding array of architecture, like mind-blowing, just gorgeous architecture. So get on over to Detroit, Michigan. Go Red Wings. They're my hockey team. Sorry you didn't make it to the playoffs this year. There's always next year. Now that we've gotten rid of Blashill, maybe we've got a chance at this. The individual players had a great season this season. The Red Wings, not so much. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to my show. It's called The Food Fan, I guess. And I will talk to you in a bit.